Well, hey, good morning. Welcome to the BlueGamer Bluecast morning show. I am Adam Blue, a video game enthusiast, video game player enthusiast, video game news reading enthusiast. Yeah, a lot of video game stuff I can be talking about. So let's get into it. On this morning show, I'll talk about the latest news. In fact, what I'll do is I have a feed of a bunch of reputable sites that first thing in the morning, I'll pull up and see what news happened. It might not be much, but we'll see. You never know. But also, I'd like to start with, what I've been playing. If it's a weekday, it's what I've been playing the week before, but it's a Monday, so it encompasses my whole weekend. And that goes to this little device right here. I talked about on a previous stream, the RG35XX-H. The cool thing about this actually is I do like the form factor, the feel, and the screen. For as small as it is, usually stuff like this is uncomfortable. But this, over the weekend, I beat and completed Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance on this. And what's interesting about that is when I first played the game, I was doing it on, I think, my PC emulator, and because I'm using SyncThing, I'm just syncing my saves. And then I would pick it up again on, I was playing it a lot on my Android phone with this controller, because this is a great controller. And then once I got this device, synced it, and once I got the syncing working, I was playing on this. It's so much easier to pick up and play this. It's like, okay, if I'm not going to be using my phone for a little bit, I can get my phone, plug it into this, and do that. But this is kind of like just turn on and play. And then I like, again, that I got SyncThing working, although there's some weird issues with SyncThing that I can't figure out, and I've worked with people online to try to figure out. And it's very interesting when it comes to troubleshooting electronics online, especially something that's more smaller and niche like this, because there's issues people have, they post it online, and no one gives answers. And then I'll come up with an answer, and I'll post it, and no one really says anything. But then I came across someone that's like, oh yeah, I figured out how to do it, and it's like, man, I wish collectively we were better at sharing troubleshooting tips. And that's the main thing. There's a lot of guides for things online, but guides don't usually have troubleshooting. And then even when I was asking people online, like, I'm having this syncing issue, what's going on? And then people would come at me with things that I think I was on the SyncThing Reddit, and someone's like, it's probably a firewall issue. No, it wasn't a firewall issue at all. I would have gone down I knew that, and I would have gone down a rabbit hole. So I feel bad for other people that don't know that, and then they're getting that advice. And then, what was the other one? I was posting. Oh yeah, I was posting in the Anbernick Reddit, and I said, "Hey guys, I can't figure out how to get SyncThing to work on this." And they replied and saying, "We don't officially support," or something about there's no official support for SyncThing, so we're locking this thread. Which doesn't really make sense, because it's not like there's official support from Nintendo and Sega and the like to run these ROMs. So what's wrong with someone asking how to do a workaround? Isn't that the whole point of these in the first place? I was really dumbfounded by that Reddit post. And, it started that I'm clearing my throat a lot. I think it's the morning. Maybe I need to figure out a way to not have that happen. But I then posted a follow-up thread when I got it to work and figured out what to do. It's something to do with this device. Can't have the second SD card in when I'm setting up or using SyncThing. So what was neat was I went back to that forum, and then I posted, hey, everyone, I got SyncThing to work. This is what you do. And then the guy locked the thread saying there's no official support for SyncThing on this device. And I'm like, why? This is like a good conversation for people to have to figure out and troubleshoot the issues of SyncThing on RGB30. or RG35XX, man, these names. When the act of playing ROMs on this in the first place is an unofficially supported thing in the universe. Anyway, it's just one of those things when you try to ask online and how people are online about things. It's weird, It's very there's this entitled, like, this is my group, this is my community, and I only want this to happen. Oh, you're bringing up something I don't know about. We're gonna close that thread. I don't know. Don't want to complain too much, but with that working, the other thing I realized that was a pain is, again, between this, my PC, Android, Asus, ROG Ally, another handheld I have, sometimes ROMs just won't work on an emulator. And I noticed MAME is real big with this, and I didn't realize this before, but, MAME has specific ROM sets that I didn't realize. You can't just have a ROM collection and then try to play it in arcade emulators. You have to have ROM sets that are made for certain emulators, and it's so strange. Like, I couldn't play the X-Men arcade game for the longest time on, I think it was my PC and this, and then I just renamed a folder and it worked on this, but it didn't work on my PC. And then just researched, and they're like, well, if you're using this custom firmware, it requires this MAME ROM set. And I was like, man, this stuff gets complicated. So, but hey, good morning in the chat, Jimkill X. Happy Eclipse Day. Yeah, I'm in the area of totality. So later today, even though that's not that cloudy right now, it's supposed to be cloudy and rainy. The Midnight Hatter, good to see you as well. And so let me do a quick review of Harmony of Dissonance, because I played it back when it came out in 2002 and beat it. And, back then, I'll have to look. I must have a blog post about it. I'll have to look. But the game is really cool. Like, I love the Metroidvanias, and this Castlevania plays more like taking the limitations of the Game Boy hardware, which is kind of similar, I would say, to like Super Nintendo in a way, and just it's like trying to make a Castlevania game that then feels like Symphony of the Night. That's what they were trying to do. And it doesn't completely feel like Symphony of the Night, but it feels like a neat little thing on its own. The biggest takeaway I got from this game after beating it was that it's an easier Castlevania. I would say 90% of the bosses, maybe higher than that, I beat on the first try, which, a lot of times, especially with the later Castlevanias or even Symphony of the Night, a lot of times the bosses are hard. You'll have to repeat it over and over and over. But in this one, it was easier. And the world, the map, I find this very interesting that between the different Castlevanias, the Metroidvania Castlevanias, that sometimes the map and the worlds have their own feel. Harmony of Dissonance is very much an exploratory Castlevania because it's not hard per se. I mean, I guess you could come across hallways where the enemies are really tough and take off a lot of health, but you can overcome that easily. And the game really is a lot of backtracking. As you get into late game, you do end up unlocking teleporters, but there's still this degree of backtracking that this game requires you to do. And sometimes I'll get to a point, I'm like, okay, I know where I need to go next. Man, I got to go all the way over there. I'm just going to save my game for now. I don't feel like doing that. Or there'll be times where I'm like, got to go over there? Okay, cool. And then I'll just use that as a means. And when I am exploring these areas, when backtracking, they're more laid out like traditional Castlevania levels. That's what's very interesting about this. This is them, and I'm obviously just guessing here, but it's like, let's try to copy Symphony of the Night on Game Boy Advance. This is the best we could do. Whereas Circle of the Moon that came out before that was just more of the team going like, let's take a classic Vania and then give it a Metroidvania makeover. Whereas Harmony of Dissonance was like, okay, let's take that classic style, but make it feel as much like Symphony of the Night as possible. Because then when we get to Area of Sorrow, the one after that, that is the definite, like, this is how to make Symphony of the Night. It's like when they ported Symphony of the Night to the Sega Genesis. It's like, there's going to be some limitations, but it still overall feels good, really. So, anything else about Harmony of Dissonance? I think the character animation's really bad, but I was able to overlook that. I do like the whip system, because I like using a whip in Castlevanias. I like that there are different unlocks for the whips that do different things. I kind of like that style of play. And then the, using your sub weapon, but also you can have spell books that you can enable or disable depending on what spell book's enabled. Your sub weapon will then have a different effect. And I think that made playing it very interesting, because if I came across an enemy or a boss that was going to give me a hard time, I can kind of think, okay, what type of sub weapon or magic should I be using? So, anything else to add to that? Its castle system is interesting. After Symphony of the Night with its inverted castle, each Metroidvania Castlevania tries to do something else with the castle. In Harmony of Dissonance, it has it where there's an A and a B castle, which is crazy. But it's also pretty neat, because once you unlock Castle B, and then on your main map, you can see that there's the two castles and it overlapping. it lets you know where you can still go to explore. That's why, again, this Harmony of Dissonance is more of the exploration-based Castlevania, and I think it does it very well. Anyway, that's a quick little review of that. I still think it's a top-tier game. All Castlevanias are, like, top tier, in my opinion. So, anything else I played? Yes, Double Dragon Gaiden came out with some DLC. Love the game. It was my game of the year 2023. I have it on Xbox, on PC. I need to get it on Switch because it was on sale. I'll have to check if it's still on sale. What they did with this DLC is they added an online mode, which is awesome. So you could do online co-op, and a survival mode, which is awesome because it's just fighting waves and waves of enemies without you having to load into a level and then level cutscenes. So, and you could still gain money just by playing through the survival mode. The only thing about survival mode is it's kind of slow. Like once you destroy or finish a wave, there's this weird load where you're kind of like waiting for the level to end. And then it gives you the stats and things you could buy, and then you can start the new wave. I feel like it needs to be quicker somehow. There is a lot of downtime between waves. And I think, I don't know, not that that's by design, but it's by design of how the game was set up in the first place. But anyway, there's like, 4, 6, I don't know. There's other hidden characters. Like if you go to the unlock screen, you'll notice there's more unlocks now, but then you have to get the chips for the unlock. So I only have like a couple chips because I unlocked everything. So I have to go back and play to unlock. But what's cool is then I can just jump into survival. After about maybe 8 waves, you get like 5 tokens, which I think it seems pretty reasonable. You can unlock that stuff in the evening, really. Anyway, it's a great game. I love that they had this free DLC that has new characters because I love learning the new moves of new characters. In the original game, I played through each character to learn all their moves. So, yeah, a lot of fun there. And then other than that, here's another thing. So if you're not familiar with Pico 8, that's kind of like its own platform, like Xbox, PlayStation, Pico 8. And you can pay $15 and you get the file where it's like something you can either load on your computer or on a retro handheld or wherever. And it has a bunch of games that are just made within the Pico 8 engine. So there's a lot of fun little games that are very neat, and some are kind of like remakes in a way, like there's a Captain Mario or whatever. One game they have on there, I forgot the name, it's like Marble something. Basically, it's Suika. If you're familiar with Suika, the fruit matching game, it was on Switch, and then there's like a browser-based version. There's a new one with marbles, and it's actually, I like it better than Suika because there's more physics to the marbles when they land. They can kind of like bounce around, and by bouncing around, it allows them to kind of disrupt and things fall into cracks and then create other combinations, which kind of makes the game a little more emergent in a way compared to the original Suika. So definitely worth checking out Pico 8, especially because it has like some game development tools with it, so you can make games within the Pico 8 platform. I think it's pretty neat. Let's dive into some news. Then if some more gaming stuff I did this weekend comes up, we'll get into that. So first of all, again, I'm looking at this stuff brand new, and we can dive in if it seems more interesting. Prototype footage of several old Assassin's Creed titles leaked online. I do not doubt that. I am sure there have been so many. If you think of how many Assassin's Creed games there are, how many developers have worked on each game, I am sure there are so many iterations that haven't been seen. So if that's something you're into, I used to really like Assassin's Creed, but over time, just kind of got out of it. And that new one wasn't bad, but it was just more of the same. Xbox forms a new game preservation and platforms team, moves AI division under hardware. So yeah, there's a new team in Xbox. I want to say it's led by Sarah Bond. The idea is, as games are being developed, how can we preserve them? How can we make sure they are forward compatible, that anyone can access them anywhere? I love this. This is what I want. Like, if I feel like if video games had always been this, more like how movies and TV shows are, I wouldn't need to download ROMs or set up emulators. You know, like I can go watch old movies on current hardware. You know, I can't play old games on current hardware unless I'm setting up emulators, which circumvents the platform holder. Not that it's illegal, but more of, I wish a platform holder would really take more care of their games. And just think about any publisher. The library of games they have that they can make money off of, which is the point of these content services like Disney Plus, Paramount Plus. It's to get all that content into one place for people to be able to play. The difference is they do it under subscription services, which don't make sense. What they could be doing, which we see Disney and HBO doing, is they have some popular movies or shows that then they will rent out to other services. I mean, think about if Activision, I guess, yeah, they have a lot of their Atari games available in other means, but there's a lot of games that aren't. And let's say that under Microsoft, man, owning Activision and all those Atari games, putting them on their service, like making it where if someone currently owns the rights to a game, have it available somehow. I really like that Xbox is doing this because they've always kind of done. That's the thing. I think Xbox has always really been about the gamers and the games, even if they don't have those high production value games like Sony has. They're still all about, like, let's make these games playable anywhere. It's interesting. There was this game. Oh, I forgot the name, and it's an indie game that was self-published, and I was looking, okay, where can I buy this? It's like $8. Well, if I buy it on the Microsoft platform, I can actually already play it on PC and Xbox. So it's like already a win. That's the direction I would go. It's very interesting. Let's see. Helldivers 2 drives UK March game sales up 26%. Man, Helldivers is still killing it. I haven't played it in a few weeks. I think it's a great game. But, there's other games I'm playing. Helldivers 2 is one of those games I could always go back to and have fun. Okay. Call of Duty dev reveals details on Raven's canceled Zombies game. So, Raven Software. That'd be interesting if they were making a... Let's see. It was a live service project. If you had Raven actually make a single... Well, not a single player, but just a story-based campaign style game. I mean, they're known for that in the past. So that's what they should be doing. Singularity 6 reduces work forward by 35%. Sounds like and looks like a live service game. Laying off people, I guess that makes sense. Oh, it's Palia. I remember hearing about that. Yeah, it's another one of those things where these live service games will come out and they look awesome and they're kind of successful at first, but then people move on. That is another aspect of these newer games that are coming out, is there is this sort of trick that's played at the beginning sometimes, or something will get popular enough that everyone's talking about it and might have big numbers, but then after that, it drops. So there's that combination there. And Helldivers 2 did it. You have to hype, and you have to be sticky. I think the thing, when I'm looking at this picture, I'm really just seeing Fortnite. It's Helldivers 2 has a distinct look, and I think that helped it. Ooh, the number of Japan arcades has declined by 8,000 in 10 years. Well, in 10 years, that makes sense. I would think it would be more and more than 10 years before that. A little disappointing. I miss arcades. In fact, as someone that has kind of moved away from the idea of like going to the bar, like hanging out at a bar to drink, I would love to just go hang out at an arcade. It's something to do, but with other people, and I feel like an arcade is awesome for that. And there are a few arcades around here, but most of them have like the ticket-based games where you can win a prize. The biggest thing for me, I guess, back going to the arcades was the fighting games and the light gun games. Those were the most fun. Let's just go to chat for a second. I see a lot of chat going on. Yeah, Midnight Hatter, Dream Kill X. Thanks for all the chat in there, guys. Yeah, Rainbow Six Patriot Leagues. Oh, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, because there's supposed to be some new stuff. Let's see. I wish Netflix would drop some of their docuseries about gaming scandals and cancellations. I bet there's some dirt. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. There are some other recent video game documentaries I haven't seen yet. I need to look more into that. All right. The Accidental Inimitable formidable? I don't think I've ever used that word before. Success of Monument Valley. So this was Monument Valley. I think that showed up in that House of Cards. That's the success right there. Not my type of game, though. I played a little bit of it. It's neat. Apple allows retro game emulators on App Store. Did you hear about this? This is a recent one. A win for emulation, kind of like in the face of Nintendo. So I don't know if these are just unrelated, just happening at the same time, or there's something that happened based on the Nintendo and Yuzu situation where Apple's like, well, let's make it where emulators can be on it. I don't know. None of that makes any sense to me. Someone is trying to make some money off this somehow. That's what it is. Let's see some Tarkov update, but I haven't been playing that, so I can't give much to that. I just know this is a popular game. It looks cool. Let's see some more Helldivers 2 sales. Oh, let's look at some sales numbers here. So this is New Zealand charts, but I guess to get an idea. Helldivers 2, Dragon's Dogma 2, 1 and 2. Titanfall 2, number 4. Titanfall 2 is number 4, and it's ahead of Grand Theft Auto 5. They need to make a Titanfall 3. They really do. They've canceled it twice. Yeah, Helldivers 2, Australia, like they're just showing Helldivers 2 is just good everywhere. Yeah, look at that. Titanfall 2. Yeah, because I think Titanfall 2 got like some re-release on Steam maybe or something, and that's why that's showing up, but still. That just shows people want to play those games. Princess Peach. Hit number 1. Interesting. You don't hear too much about that game. I've heard it's pretty fun, just pretty easy. Pokemon World Championship, if that's something you're into. Valiant Hearts. Either that's a new one or a remake. Interesting. Wow, there's a whole article on that. If only I would read, you know. Fallout preview. Oh, is that for the show? Pretty neat. I'll check it out. I'm not super excited about it, but I like how it looks like the video game. Yuji Naka returns to X by accusing Dragon Quest producer of lying in court. So that's crazy. Yuji Naka, OG Sonic creator, and a creator of a lot of good games under Sega. Seems like he gets into drama a lot. And here's another one. He's serving a 30-month suspended sentence for insider trading. But you know, with the Dragon Quest thing, that's very interesting. I don't know. Do I jump into that? I don't know. Unicorn Overlord. That looks pretty interesting, and I played a second of it, but it seems to be super turn-based, even though I from what I understand, as you get through and it unlocks more, it gives you more control over the aspects of gameplay. I don't know. I might check that out. There's a demo for it. I have it downloaded on Switch. Looks good. I love Vanillaware looking stuff. Yeah, just looking at this makes me want to play it. But yeah, I'd have to spend more time really figuring it out. Okay. Yeah, Xbox has established a team dedicated to game preservation. We got to that, which is really cool. Let's see, Warzone Mobile. Yeah, I know that's been huge. I downloaded it to think I would try it, and I never came across a point that I wanted to try it, so I uninstalled it. It was taking up a lot of space. Forget Ubisoft's Quad A game. Steve's Rock making I don't know how you'd say that, but a 5A game. And I've said this before. In the mid-2000s, Quad A was being used, and I think people forgot that. And so when they brought up Quad A again recently, people were laughing, because there was an interesting time in the mid-2000s where games budgets weren't super crazy, but I mean, like something like the Assassin's Creed games, those were Quad A compared to the rest of the industry, and the industry sort of followed suit. And a AAA game would just be a standard release that we'd expect. The AA would be really obvious that it was like, okay, this is like a known, like Midway, and they're just making kind of a basic shooter that looks a little janky, but it's still good. And then you had, you know, the influx of indie games. But on top of that were the Assassin's Creeds that were like huge. Anyway, kind of an interesting little point. Let's see. Rumor, Xbox Showcase in June to feature Call of Duty 2024. I'm surprised You know, because they weren't going to have the Modern Warfare 3. You know what? I guess that makes sense because that means they were planning this game the whole time. So that means this could be pretty good. Yeah, we'll see. And I've heard rumors too of Gears of War 6, and apparently Gears of War 6 has like amazing, mind-blowing graphics. And it's pretty interesting if you think of between Microsoft saying the next Xbox is going to be insane hardware, and then Sony saying that they have some badass tech in play that are going to make games look amazing. I really feel like it's there's this thing we're not realizing where the console manufacturers, you know, we're seeing like with these little handhelds, like hardware is becoming amazing. And it could be that Sony and Xbox are kind of down the same path where they realize, yeah, we can actually come out with new hardware that looks freaking amazing and is not expensive. I think that's what we're going to see. I really do. I think there's going to be a time not too long in a couple generations where Nintendo and Xbox and PlayStation graphics will be indistinguishable. Yeah, Sarah Bond, the game preservation. So, excuse me. I really hate early morning stuff, digestion, or not digestion, but you know, the nasal allergies, whatever you call that stuff. Usually, ginger helps. A little ginger tea. I need to do that. That looks cool. Yeah, I think that's about it. That's probably the news for now. Hold on. Yeah, allergies. Had to get that sneeze out. But yeah, I think that's the news for now. It's very interesting to see what's going on. I like the sound of that game preservation coming from Xbox. That's exactly what we need. And then Apple lifting the ban on game emulators. That's also something we need. Just because iOS has that huge market share, and so for people to be able to access classic games on there, that's pretty good. But that just about does it for Monday, April 8th, BlueGamer, Bluecast Morning Show. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't. Like if you haven't. Share this with people. Hopefully you enjoy this morning news. If you have any feedback on what I could be sharing, let me know. And yeah, it looks like I go for about 30 minutes. Yeah, it seems to work out. But anyway, guys, have a good rest of the day, and we will talk tomorrow.